Rumors are going around that reveal Priscilla Presley will be making a huge announcement soon. And you know the internet, instantly going into a shock believing her announcement is gonna be that Elvis is back for a 2025 comeback special. That's actually not far-fetched after what we've discovered. Is the king of rock and roll still alive? Dive into the mystery as we unravel 20 shocking facts that suggest Elvis Presley faked his own death. From mysterious sightings to bizarre coincidences, discover the grand scam that has kept fans guessing for decades. One no official autopsy report. The mysterious death of Elvis Presley on August 16, 1977, at age 42, has long been shrouded in controversy, primarily due to the lack of a publicly released autopsy report. Typically, such reports are either released to the public or leaked over time, but no detailed autopsy for Elvis has ever surfaced. This secrecy has fueled speculation and conspiracy theories about the true nature of his death. The official cause of death was heart failure, yet conflicting reports about drug use and health issues have clouded the narrative. The absence of a detailed autopsy report raises questions about whether the true circumstances of his death are being concealed. Some believe that Elvis might have staged his death to escape the pressures of fame and live a quieter life in hiding. Adding to the mystery, it is rumored that the Presley family sealed the autopsy results for 50 years to prevent further investigation, a level of secrecy that is highly unusual and has only intensified the speculation. If heart failure and poor health were indeed the causes of death, the rationale behind withholding such information remains unclear. Conflicting accounts from medical professionals who were reportedly present during the autopsy further complicate the situation. Inconsistencies and the silence of some involved parties have only fueled doubts about the official story. Despite petitions from fans and researchers for the release of the autopsy, it remains undisclosed. This ongoing mystery has left many wondering if Elvis truly passed away or if he faked his death to escape his public life. 2 misspelled name on the tombstone. One peculiar detail cited by conspiracy theorists to support the claim that Elvis Presley faked his death is the misspelling of his middle name on his tombstone. At Graceland, his middle name is inscribed as Aaron, rather than the Aaron Elvis reportedly preferred. This discrepancy has fueled debates, with some suggesting it's a deliberate hint that the grave is a decoy and Elvis is still alive. Elvis had changed the spelling of his middle name to Aaron during his lifetime, a change reflected in official documents like his birth certificate. So, why would his family use the old spelling after his death? For conspiracy theorists, this misspelling is seen as a deliberate clue, arguing that if Elvis had truly died, his family would have ensured every detail was correct. Adding to the intrigue, some sources claim Elvis had discussed staging his death before 1977, proposing that the misspelling was a way to preserve his legacy while maintaining privacy. The tombstone has become a pilgrimage site for fans and theorists who believe in this grand illusion. While skeptics view the misspelling as a simple error, for believers, it remains a significant piece of evidence suggesting the king may still be alive. Whether it was a mistake, a deliberate act, or a clue left by Elvis, the misspelled name continues to spark speculation. 3. The alleged wax body. One of the more bizarre conspiracy theories about Elvis Presley's death suggests that the body shown at his funeral was actually a wax figure, not his real body. This theory, though widely dismissed, persists among some fans. They point to several oddities to support this claim, including the body's unusual appearance and reports of sweating. Witnesses at Elvis' funeral noted that the body in the casket didn't look like the king they remembered. Some said his face seemed unnaturally smooth, hinting it might have been a wax replica. This suspicion is bolstered by Elvis's deteriorated health and weight gain prior to his death, which would have made him look significantly different. Another supporting detail is the claim that the body appeared to be sweating. Given that Elvis' funeral took place in the hot, humid summer of Memphis, this is not entirely implausible. Wax figures can sweat when exposed to high temperatures. The casket's reportedly heavy weight also adds to the theory, with some speculating it contained a refrigeration unit to prevent the wax from melting. Proponents of this theory argue that a wax figure allowed for a dignified public farewell, while Elvis himself went into hiding. Though most dismiss this as fanciful, the notion of a wax body at Elvis' funeral continues to intrigue and captivate those fascinated by the mystery of his death. The mysterious insurance policy. One compelling element fueling the theory that Elvis Presley faked his death is the mysterious case of his unclaimed life insurance policy. Despite being one of the most valuable estates in entertainment history, Elvis' life insurance has never been cashed. This anomaly has led conspiracy theorists to question why, if Elvis had truly passed away, no one claimed the multi-million-dollar payout. Life insurance policies are typically paid out shortly after an individual's death, especially for someone as famous as Elvis. Yet, there's no record of his policy being collected. This raises suspicion. If his death were genuine, wouldn't his family, the beneficiaries of the policy, have cashed it in? The untouched sum suggests to some that Elvis might still be alive. Some speculate that the policy went unclaimed because collecting it would have required undeniable proof of Elvis's death, like a body or death certificate. If, as some theorists believe, the death was staged, collecting the insurance could have exposed the entire plot. By leaving the policy untouched, the Presley family might have avoided drawing attention to potential discrepancies. Critics argue that the unclaimed policy could be due to mundane reasons such as legal complications or a deliberate choice not to pursue it. However, for believers in the grand scam, this unexplained detail is seen as evidence of Elvis's survival. The unclaimed insurance policy remains a key piece of the conspiracy, fueling the debate over whether the king truly died in 1977. 5. A sudden decline in health. The Elvis Presley conspiracy theory often centers on the dramatic and sudden decline in his health before his death. Despite his well-documented struggles with prescription drug dependency, weight gain, and other health issues, the rapid deterioration of his condition in his final years has fueled speculation that his death might have been staged. In his last years, Elvis' public appearances dwindled, and when he performed, his once vibrant energy and charisma seemed to wane. He appeared bloated and fatigued, and his voice lacked the dynamism of his earlier career. While many attribute this decline to his lifestyle, such as drug dependence and poor eating habits, some conspiracy theorists propose that Elvis intentionally worsened his health to create a believable scenario for his disappearance. By appearing in declining health, Elvis might have made his death seem more plausible. A gradual decline would be easier for the public to accept than the sudden death of someone who seemed well. Some theorists suggest that Elvis's health issues were deliberately exaggerated to prepare the public for the announcement of his death. This theory aligns with the idea that Elvis, overwhelmed by fame, sought to escape his public life. By faking his death, he could have escaped the pressures of stardom and lived privately. For those who subscribe to the theory, Elvis' health decline was not merely a result of his lifestyle, but a key component of a well-orchestrated plan to fake his death. Whether this theory holds any truth remains a subject of debate. 6. Elvis spotted at the airport. A key piece of evidence in the Elvis Presley conspiracy theory is a reported sighting of him at an airport shortly after his supposed death on August 16, 1977. According to the story, a man resembling Elvis was seen boarding a plane to Buenos Aires hours after his death was announced. Dressed in a white jumpsuit and sunglasses, he paid for his ticket in cash and used the alias John Burroughs, a name Elvis had previously used. Witnesses at the airport were convinced it was Elvis, despite the news of his death. The calm demeanor and minimal efforts to conceal his identity, beyond sunglasses and an alias, fueled speculation that Elvis was escaping public life. Skeptics suggest it was a case of mistaken identity, but for believers, the use of John Burroughs is seen as a deliberate clue indicating Elvis faked his death to live secretly. 7. FBI involvement. Was Elvis an informant? A lesser-known theory suggests Elvis Presley faked his death to protect himself and his family while working with the FBI as an informant. The theory proposes that Elvis was involved with the Fraternity, a criminal group, and was recruited by the FBI to help dismantle it. When his safety was compromised, the FBI supposedly helped him stage his death and enter the Witness Protection Program. Freedom of Information Act documents reveal FBI interest in Elvis during the 1970s, hinting at his connection to government officials. Some believe his desire to combat rising organized crime led him to use his influence against it. By faking his death, Elvis could avoid media scrutiny and continue his covert work. While no direct evidence ties Elvis to FBI operations, the theory adds a compelling twist to the mystery surrounding his death. 8. The King's handwriting after death. A curious aspect fueling the theory that Elvis Presley faked his death is the existence of letters and documents supposedly written by him after 1977. Handwriting experts and fans have examined these writings, which appear to match Elvis's distinctive style, leading some to believe he continued to communicate with select individuals long after his supposed death. A notable example is a letter from the 1980s, allegedly written by Elvis to a friend. The letter included personal details only Elvis would have known, and its handwriting closely matched his known samples. Although some dismissed it as a forgery, handwriting experts argued that replicating Elvis's unique style precisely would be challenging, bolstering the claim that the letter might be genuine proof of his continued existence. Other post-1977 documents, including signatures on fan memorabilia and personal notes, have surfaced. Each piece has been analyzed and compared to Elvis's known samples, showing striking similarities. For conspiracy theorists, these documents are seen as evidence that Elvis was alive and maintained contact with a select few. Skeptics argue that handwriting can be easily forged, and that devoted fans might have created these documents as a hoax. They also note that handwriting analysis is not always definitive. Nonetheless, the abundance of writings attributed to Elvis keeps the theory alive. Some believe he might have left these writings intentionally as clues, enjoying the dramatic flair and the idea of immortality. Whether these writings are genuine remains unresolved, but they provide a tantalizing piece of the conspiracy puzzle. 9. Elvis's Graceland tombstone error. The discrepancy in Elvis Presley's tombstone spelling, which reads Aaron instead of the traditional Aaron, has fueled conspiracy theories suggesting that the man buried at Graceland isn't Elvis. While the official explanation is that Elvis's parents chose the more traditional spelling for his grave, theorists argue that the misspelling was intentional. They believe it was done either by Elvis himself or by those involved in a scheme to indicate that the grave is a decoy. Elvis went by Elvis Aaron Presley during his lifetime, and official documents confirm this spelling. For those who think Elvis faked his death, this misspelling is seen as a red flag. They argue that Elvis, known for his attention to detail, wouldn't have allowed such a mistake. Some believe Elvis may have even instructed that the tombstone be deliberately misspelled to communicate with fans. Despite these theories, Graceland officials and Elvis family maintain that the change was a personal choice. Nonetheless, the misspelled tombstone continues to be a focal point for conspiracy theorists, who view it as evidence in their belief that Elvis is still alive. 10. The wax dummy theory. One theory that emerged after Elvis Presley's death suggests that the body in his casket was a wax dummy, not Elvis himself. Observers noted that the figure in the casket appeared unnaturally stiff and overly made up, resembling a wax figure rather than the beloved Elvis, Supporters of this theory point to the unusually cold temperature of the casket, speculating that it was cooled to prevent a wax figure from melting in the summer heat. They also highlight discrepancies in Elvis's appearance, such as a notably sharper nose and stiff hands, which they attribute to the limitations of a wax model. Some conspiracy theorists argue that this wax dummy theory supports the larger belief that Elvis faked his death to live in anonymity. They suggest that a wax figure was used to create the illusion of death, while Elvis secretly escaped. Critics dismiss the theory as implausible, attributing the changes in Elvis's appearance to natural post-mortem effects, embalming, or the work of a mortician. Despite this, the wax dummy theory remains a captivating element of the debate over whether Elvis truly died in 1977 or staged his death. 11. Elvis's secretive autopsy report. The secrecy around Elvis Presley's autopsy report has fueled speculation that the king of rock and roll faked his death. Officially, heart failure was cited as the cause of death, but the full autopsy report remains sealed until 2027, 50 years after his death. This unusual delay has raised suspicions and intensified conspiracy theories suggesting that Elvis's death was staged as part of a cover-up. Unlike other celebrity autopsies, which are typically released soon after death, Elvis' report has been kept under wraps, leading some to speculate it may contain information contradicting the official cause of death. There are theories that the body examined might not have been Elvis's, or that the report could reveal a different cause of death. Rumors also suggest that Elvis's father, Vernon Presley, might have had a hand in sealing the autopsy to protect Elvis's alleged plan to fake his death. Inconsistencies in the timeline and conflicting reports about Elvis's condition further fuel these theories. Critics argue that the sealed report is likely due to privacy concerns, not evidence of a cover-up. Nonetheless, the secrecy continues to intrigue fans and conspiracy theorists who eagerly await the report's release in 2027 for potential revelations. 12. Elvis middle-aged look-alike spotted in multiple locations. Over the years, numerous reports have claimed sightings of Elvis Presley look-alikes across the globe. These doppelgangers are often described as resembling Elvis in voice, gait, and mannerisms, with many being middle-aged or older, mirroring the age Elvis would be if he had survived past 1977. A notable sighting occurred in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where witnesses reported seeing a man who looked remarkably like Elvis, complete with large sunglasses and a similar build. This man was said to have slight graying hair and a bit more weight, fitting the profile of an aging Elvis. Similar sightings have been reported in the US, Australia, Canada, and Europe. Some fans speculate that Elvis faked his death to escape the public eye and has been living quietly under various identities. They point to Elvis's desire for a quieter life and his interest in Eastern philosophies as evidence supporting this theory. Skeptics argue these sightings are likely Elvis impersonators or individuals who naturally resemble him. Despite skepticism, the frequency of these reports contributes to the ongoing Elvis Lives conspiracy, keeping the legend of Elvis Presley alive for future generations. 13. Elvis manager profited from his death. One theory that Elvis Presley faked his death involves his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. Shortly after Elvis's death, Parker quickly moved to capitalize on it, signing deals for posthumous memorabilia and re-releasing Elvis's music and movies. Some believe Parker's swift actions suggest he was aware of the death being staged, raising suspicions about his involvement. Parker, who had a complicated relationship with Elvis and was known for taking a significant portion of his earnings, might have encouraged the fake death to protect his own financial interests. His rapid shift to commercializing Elvis' passing, including re-releasing albums and turning Graceland into a tourist hotspot, fuels this theory. Parker's seemingly indifferent demeanor and odd comments post-death further heighten suspicions. Critics argue Parker's actions were merely those of a business manager preserving Elvis's legacy, driven by financial motives rather than conspiracy. Nonetheless, Parker's behavior remains a point of intrigue for some theorists. The mysterious life insurance policy. One compelling aspect of the theory that Elvis Presley faked his death is the unclaimed life insurance policy. Conspiracy theorists argue that if Elvis had truly died, his beneficiaries would have cashed in the policy, which remains untouched. Elvis reportedly took out a large policy before his supposed death in 1977, but it has never been claimed. To theorists, this suggests that Elvis is still alive and his death was staged. Elvis was known for being meticulous about his finances, leading some to believe that keeping the policy unclaimed was part of his plan to fake his death. Critics, however, suggest other explanations like legal complications or privacy concerns. Despite these arguments, the unclaimed policy continues to fuel speculation and intrigue about whether Elvis Presley might still be alive. 15. Elvis' voice. Recorded after his death. One of the most bizarre aspects of the Elvis Presley conspiracy theory is the claim that his voice was recorded after his death. In the years following his passing in 1977, various recordings allegedly featuring Elvis's voice emerged, leading some to believe he continued to live in secret. Notably, in the early 1980s, a caller claiming to be Elvis spoke on a radio show with a deep Southern drawl and made cryptic comments, convincing some fans it was indeed the King. Additionally, a recording of a singer with an aging Elvis-like voice appeared, fueling speculation that Elvis was still performing privately. Skeptics argue these recordings are from impersonators or misinterpretations, but for believers, they suggest Elvis might have evaded fame's pressures while remaining connected to his fans. These recordings, whether authentic or not, continue to intrigue and fuel the mystery surrounding Elvis's life and death. 16. Unexplained activity on Elvis Graceland property. Conspiracy theorists claim Elvis Presley might still be alive due to mysterious activities at Graceland, where he lived and is buried. Since his death in 1977, there have been numerous reports of strange occurrences on the estate. Visitors and staff have reported seeing shadows and figures around the property, particularly near Elvis's gravesite. Some even claim to hear his voice or music when no one is supposed to be there. The high level of maintenance at Graceland is also cited as suspicious, suggesting it's still actively used by Elvis or his associates. Additionally, unexplained noises and objects moving within the mansion have fueled speculation. Critics argue these phenomena are natural or due to the house's age, but the tales of strange occurrences continue to intrigue fans and perpetuate the belief that Elvis may still be alive. 17. Elvis disappearing act at his funeral. Elvis Presley's funeral has sparked numerous conspiracy theories, with some claiming the disappearing act of his body as evidence of a cover-up. Witnesses reported oddities such as the casket being closed or obscured, and unexplained delays during the service, which fueled speculation that the body was switched with a decoy. Theorists suggest these moments allowed for the replacement of Elvis's body with a look-alike or wax dummy, creating an illusion of his death while he escaped unnoticed. Skeptics counter that such irregularities likely stemmed from the complex logistics of a high-profile funeral and the emotional chaos of the event, rather than a deliberate cover-up. Despite these explanations, the idea of Elvis faking his death and slipping away remains a popular aspect of his conspiracy theories. 18. Elvis' appearance in posthumous TV specials. In the years after Elvis Presley's death, several TV specials and tributes featuring either archival footage or new technology have sparked speculation that he might still be alive. For example, the 1978 TV special, Elvis, a Legendary Performer, combined old footage with new segments, leading some to believe that the lifelike appearance of Elvis in certain segments suggested he might still be living. Recent hologram performances of Elvis have also fueled conspiracy theories, with some claiming these digital recreations hint at his continued existence or perpetuate the illusion that he never died. Critics argue that these appearances are simply products of modern technology and creative production, not evidence of Elvis's survival. Despite this, the use of such technology continues to spark speculation and keep the legend of Elvis alive in the public imagination. 19 unusual legal disputes. Over Elvis's estate, legal battles over Elvis Presley's estate have fueled conspiracy theories suggesting he faked his death. Proponents argue that the intricate disputes over his will and estate were deliberately orchestrated to distract from the possibility that Elvis is still alive. Following Elvis's death, numerous parties, including family members and business associates, engaged in legal disputes over his inheritance. The complexity and contention of these battles, coupled with allegations of mismanagement and fraud, led some to speculate that they were a smokescreen to cover up Elvis's continued existence.
47 years after the king passed away, new videos and photos are found every other day, but it's typically your average low-quality sighting. Not this time. In this video, we'll be revealing some new unseen footage of Elvis Presley that will leave you shocked. This footage may even make you cry. The story of Elvis begins in the early hours of January 8, 1935, in a tiny two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi. Gladys Presley, supported by her husband Vernon and his brother, was in labor with twins. But tragedy struck when the first baby, Jesse Garin, was stillborn. Moments later, Elvis Aaron Presley entered the world, a healthy crying baby who would one day captivate millions. Elvis became the sole focus of Vernon and Gladys' devotion. And though Jesse's loss cast a shadow over their lives, their home was filled with warmth and love. The Presleys lived modestly, moving often in search of opportunities, but their bond as a family never wavered. Their tight-knit household in Tupelo included not just Elvis and his parents, but grandparents and extended relatives. Money was tight, but the Presleys made sure their only child had a happy upbringing, giving him stability through their love and devotion. For Elvis, it didn't matter where they lived. Home was wherever his family was together. Elvis found joy and inspiration in music from an early age. The hymns and sermons at the Assembly of God Church fascinated him, and at home, he absorbed a melting pot of sounds: gospel from church, blues from neighbors, and country music from the radio. This rich blend of influences ignited his passion for music. On October 3, 1945, Elvis performed for the first time in public. Standing on a chair to reach the microphone at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show Talent Contest, the 10-year-old sang "Old Shep." He earned 5th place and a handful of ride tickets. It wasn't a grand prize, but for Elvis, it was a magical moment, a first taste of the applause he'd come to crave. 2 years later, in 1947, Elvis had his eye on a shiny new bicycle, but the Presleys couldn't afford it. Instead, Gladys gently steered him toward a $13 guitar from Tupelo Hardware Company. That modest guitar became the spark for a musical journey that would change the world. Elvis soon began performing for classmates at Milam Junior High, strumming "Leaf on a Tree" as a farewell gift before the family made a big move. Packing up their old Plymouth, the Presleys left Tupelo for Memphis, Tennessee, in search of brighter prospects. They were soon joined by their extended family, all hoping to carve out a slice of the American dream. Reality in Memphis was far from easy. From 1948 to 1953, the Presleys lived in public housing and affordable homes in North Memphis, scraping by as Vernon and Gladys took on any jobs they could find. Elvis, eager to help his family, worked odd jobs while attending L.C. Humes High School. Despite the struggles, the Presleys remained deeply connected to their faith, gathering regularly at the Assembly of God Church for solace and strength. For Elvis, music became both an escape and a calling. He honed his style, influenced by the diverse sounds of Memphis. Shopping for unique clothes on Beale Street and immersing himself in black gospel and blues, he crafted an identity that was impossible to ignore. Downtown gospel sings became his favorite haunt, and with his long hair and sideburns, Elvis stood out in every crowd. At Humes High, Elvis took the stage during a school talent show, guitar in hand. The crowd's thunderous applause shocked him, but it also lit a fire. He won the contest and even performed an encore, leaving the stage with newfound confidence in his talent. But the chapter at Humes wouldn't last forever. In 1953, Elvis graduated and quickly found a job at Parker Machinist's shop to help support his family. That summer, he made a decision that would change everything. Walking into the Memphis recording service, later known as Sun Records, he paid $4 to record My Happiness. And that's when your heartaches begin as a birthday gift for his mother, Gladys. It was a small, heartfelt gesture, but it marked the beginning of something monumental, the start of Elvis Presley's music career. From humble beginnings in Tupelo to the bustling streets of Memphis, Elvis was poised to transform the world of music. What started as a simple recording for his mom would soon set the stage for the king of rock and roll. Around this time, Sam Phillips, the founder of Sun Records, began noticing something extraordinary about Elvis Presley. He saw a spark in the young singer's voice, envisioning him as a standout ballad performer. This marked the start of Elvis's journey into music stardom. By 1955, the buzz around Elvis was growing louder. His unique sound, electrifying stage presence, and undeniable good looks were capturing attention everywhere. His hip-swaying moves became the talk of the town, thrilling some and scandalizing others. That same year, Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, inked a deal with RCA Records, setting the stage for Presley to become a cultural phenomenon. In 1956, Elvis's meteoric rise became unstoppable. He scored his first #1 hit with Heartbreak Hotel, and his debut album, Elvis Presley, skyrocketed to the top of the charts. That year also saw Elvis sign a movie deal with Paramount Pictures, solidifying his status as a triple threat entertainer. Not everyone was thrilled with his bold dance moves. Some critics called them too suggestive, but audiences were enthralled. His television debut on The Stage Show, produced by Jackie Gleason and featuring the Dorsey brothers, introduced Elvis to the nation. Over 6 appearances, he captivated viewers, with Heartbreak Hotel ruling the airwaves. During this whirlwind year, Elvis hit another milestone with his final Sun Records single, I Forgot to Remember to Forget, paired with a Mystery Train. The track soared to #1 on the country charts, marking a pivotal breakthrough in his career. Shortly after, RCA released Elvis Presley, a full-length album that dominated the pop charts for 10 consecutive weeks. The record became Elvis's first to surpass $1 million in sales, earning him a coveted Gold Album Award. Just days after the album's release, Elvis headed to Hollywood for a screen test at Paramount Studios. He spent 2 days acting, lip-syncing to the Blue Suede Shoes, and performing a scene from The Rainmaker. Meanwhile, his packed schedule included a groundbreaking performance aboard the USS Hancock during a live broadcast of the Milton Berle Show. Soon after, Elvis signed a movie deal with Hal Wallace and Paramount Pictures, locking in 1 film with an option for 6 more. In April and May of 1956, Elvis performed at the New Frontier Hotel in Las Vegas. For once, his magic didn't land. The crowd of adult gamblers was less enthusiastic than his younger fans. Still, Heartbreak Hotel and his debut album held strong at #1 on the Billboard pop charts. On the road, Elvis's performances sent fans into a frenzy, often forcing shows to end early when crowds stormed the stage. June brought Elvis back to the Milton Berle show, this time in a studio setting with the Jordanaires, Scotty Moore, Bill Black, and DJ Fontana backing him. His playful rendition of the Hound Dog, complete with provocative dance moves, thrilled young fans while shocking critics. The backlash only amplified his fame, making the performance one of his most talked about moments. Elvis's bold style drew sharp criticism from conservative and religious groups, but his youthful audience couldn't get enough. Riding the wave of controversy, he appeared on NBC's The Steve Allen Show, where the show poked fun at the uproar from his last appearance. Dressed in formal white tie and tails, Elvis performed a humorous version of Hound Dog to a basset hound on stage. Though he wasn't thrilled with the stunt, Elvis played along, even participating in a comedy sketch with Steve Allen, Imogene Coca, and Andy Griffith. Despite the criticism, Elvis's fame only grew stronger. He inked a groundbreaking $50,000 deal for upcoming TV appearances, setting a new benchmark in the entertainment industry. The next day, he brought the Jordanaires, famed for their gospel and country harmonies, into the studio for his 4th RCA recording session. The group became a permanent part of Elvis's act, touring with him and appearing in many of his films through the late 1960s. In August 1956, Elvis began shooting his first movie, originally titled The Reno Brothers. To capitalize on the popularity of his hit single, the film's title was changed to Love Me Tender. During filming, Elvis made his debut on The Ed Sullivan Show, the most watched TV program of the time, with Charles Lawton stepping in as host due to Sullivan's car accident. Elvis delivered a performance that captured 80% of the national television audience, an unprecedented feat. The king was unstoppable, and his reign had only just begun. Just weeks later, Elvis returned triumphantly to his hometown of Tupelo, Mississippi, for a day that would go down in history. On September 26, 1956, the city celebrated Elvis Presley Day with fanfare fit for a king. Surrounded by his family, Elvis performed 2 electrifying shows at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show, the same stage where he'd sung as a boy. The excitement reached such a fever pitch that the National Guard was called in to manage the frenzied crowd. By now, Elvis mania was sweeping the nation, his face-adorned hats, t-shirts, and even jeans, ushering in a new era of celebrity merchandising. Elvis and his shrewd manager, Colonel Tom Parker, blazed a trail in branding, turning Presley into a walking, singing, gyrating cash machine. On November 15, 1956, Elvis made his much-anticipated big-screen debut in Love Me Tender, which premiered at the Paramount Theater in New York City. Set during the Civil War, the film showcased Elvis's acting chops alongside his singing, cementing his status as a versatile entertainer. Audiences loved it, and even critics had little to nitpick. As the year came to a close, Elvis achieved another milestone. The Wall Street Journal featured him on its front page on December 31st, reporting an eye-popping $22 million in merchandise sales alone. It was official. 1956 was the year Elvis transformed from a rising star to a global household name. Elvis wasn't just changing music, he was sparking a cultural revolution. His unique blend of musical styles and magnetic stage presence captured America's youth while shaking up societal norms. From his groundbreaking hits to his record-breaking TV appearances, Elvis was unstoppable. The ripple effects of his success reverberated far beyond the music industry. He had become a force to be reckoned with. Elvis hit the ground running in 1957. On January 6th, he made his 3rd and final appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. In response to the controversy over his provocative dance moves, the cameras filmed him from the waist up. The irony wasn't lost on anyone when he performed the gospel hymn Peace in the Valley as part of his 5-song set. Ed Sullivan himself, one of TV's biggest names, stepped in to publicly vouch for Elvis, calling him a fine young man and a joy to have on the show. A rare moment of praise amid the sea of criticism. Elvis's fame wasn't just an American phenomenon, it was going global. The New York Times reported that in the Soviet Union, bootleg Elvis records were being sold on the black market. Fans crafted these records using discarded X-ray plates, selling them for 50 rubles, a hefty sum equivalent to about $130 today. Back home, Elvis continued smashing records. His Christmas album topped the charts for a month and eventually sold a staggering 20 million copies. Then came Jailhouse Rock, a chart-topping single tied to his movie of the same name. Decades later, Rolling Stone would rank it among the greatest songs of all time. With hits like Be Blue Suede Shoes, Can't Help Falling in Love, All Shook Up, and A Teddy Bear, Elvis had fans eating out of the palm of his hand. But even as his career soared, life was about to take a serious turn. In November 1957, Elvis performed in Hawaii, unaware it would be his last concert before swapping his guitar for army boots. That December, the Presleys celebrated their first Christmas at Graceland, decorating the mansion with festive cheer. Amidst the joy, a letter arrived, Elvis's draft notice. While he had expected it, the news still marked a turning point in his life. The king was about to trade superstardom for soldiering. In March 1958, Elvis reported to the Memphis Draft Board, where he received the iconic GI buzz cut at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, before heading to Fort Hood, Texas, for basic training. During his first leave, Elvis returned to the studio for a final session, recording A Big Hunk of Love, which would be his last hit until 1960. However, his joy was short-lived. As he prepared for deployment to Europe, his beloved mother, Gladys, fell gravely ill with acute hepatitis. Elvis rushed to her side in Memphis, spending her final days with her. On August 14, 1958, Gladys passed away at just 46 years old, leaving Elvis heartbroken. Despite his grief, Elvis returned to his military duties. While stationed in Germany, he found a glimmer of happiness in Priscilla Presley, the teenage stepdaughter of a U.S. Air Force captain. Introduced at a party, the two began a romance that would eventually lead to their marriage in 1967. During his service, Elvis climbed the ranks to sergeant, serving with dedication and humility. When he returned to the U.S. on March 2, 1960, Elvis faced a media frenzy, with fans and reporters flooding Graceland to welcome him home. On March 8, he held a press conference, emphasizing that he had served his country like any other soldier without special treatment. Despite concerns that his 2-year absence might have dimmed his star, the adoring crowds proved otherwise. Elvis was still the king. Elvis wasted no time reclaiming his throne. Hits like GI Blues, Blue Hawaii, and Viva Las Vegas dominated the charts, while his movies, though not critically acclaimed, were commercial successes. By the late 1960s, however, his film career was losing steam. Sensing the need for a fresh start, Elvis staged a legendary comeback in 1968 with a television special that reignited his career. His charisma, voice, and stage presence reminded the world why he was still the undisputed king of rock and roll. During this time, Elvis's personal life seemed picture perfect. He married Priscilla, and in 1968, they welcomed their daughter, Lisa Marie. For a brief moment, Elvis appeared to have it all: fame, family, and a fresh start. But the cracks began to show as the 1970s unfolded. Both Elvis and Priscilla faced struggles with infidelity, and their marriage slowly fell apart. Eventually, they separated, leaving Priscilla to raise Lisa Marie while Elvis wrestled with his own demons. By 1973, things took a darker turn for the king. His dependence on prescription pills began to affect his health. The once svelte heartthrob now battled weight issues, and his vibrant energy began to fade. That fall, his condition worsened, landing him in the hospital, a stark contrast to the dynamic performer the world had adored. Yet, even as his personal struggles mounted, Elvis remained a show-stopping force on stage. His Las Vegas residencies and nationwide tours continued to draw massive crowds, with fans eager to catch a glimpse of the king. His final live performance took place in June 1977 in Indianapolis. Afterward, he returned to Graceland, gearing up for another tour, completely unaware it would never come to be. Elvis Presley's time at Graceland ended tragically on August 16, 1977, when he passed away at just 42 years old. The official cause of death was heart failure, with prescription drug use playing a significant role. The news sent shockwaves around the globe, leaving millions mourning the loss of a legend. Elvis was laid to rest at Graceland, beside his beloved mother, Gladys, his father, Vernon, and his grandmother, Minnie Mae Hood Presley. Graceland transformed into a shrine, attracting countless fans who came to honor his memory. The day Elvis died, floral delivery service Trans World Delivery processed over 3,100 flower orders, a record for a single day in the U.S. 2 days later, on August 18th, thousands lined Elvis Presley Boulevard for his funeral. Fans held signs, flowers, and cherished mementos as a white Cadillac hearse carried his rose-covered casket, a poignant symbol of the deep love and admiration his fans felt. A private service at Graceland, attended by around 200 family members and close friends, included Hollywood stars like John Wayne, Burt Reynolds, and Margaret and Caroline Kennedy, all paying their respects to the man who had reshaped entertainment forever. Though the funeral was somber, Elvis's passing sparked ongoing fascination and speculation. Even in death, his life remained shrouded in intrigue, ensuring his legacy continued to captivate fans worldwide. Elvis Presley's sudden death was shocking enough, but the story took an even stranger turn just 9 days after his burial. A failed grave robbery attempt added a layer of mystery to the king's already enigmatic legacy. Late one night, 3 men, Raymond Green, Eugene Nelson, and Ronnie Atkins, were spotted behaving suspiciously near Elvis's mausoleum. Their bizarre plan reportedly involved using dynamite to break into the tomb, though they hadn't brought enough to succeed. Alerted by a cemetery worker, police quickly apprehended the poorly prepared trio and confiscated a small amount of explosives. Ronnie Atkins later turned informant, pointing fingers at his accomplices, but his credibility crumbled after his arrest for fraud. The charges against the group were eventually dropped. Years later, Atkins offered a wild twist, claiming the robbery was staged. He suggested it was orchestrated by someone in law enforcement working with the Presley family, who allegedly wanted Elvis's body moved to Graceland, a property not legally approved for burials at the time. This alleged stunt, Atkins claimed, was a ploy to secure burial rights under the guise of increased security. True or not, the story only deepened the mystique surrounding Elvis's life and death. New unseen Elvis Presley footage and photos released a glimpse into the king's life. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, continues to mesmerize audiences even decades after his passing. Recent releases of unseen footage and rare photographs have reignited the fascination with his larger-than-life persona, offering fans a fresh perspective on the man behind the legend. These discoveries provide a deeper understanding of his artistry, his personal struggles, and his enduring cultural impact. One of the most exciting developments comes from the return of the king, the fall and rise of Elvis Presley. a Netflix documentary released in November 2024. The documentary features rare recordings of Elvis reflecting on his frustrations with Hollywood's portrayal of him. These candid moments showcase a vulnerable side of Elvis, as he expresses the emotional toll of being confined to the image of a product rather than the creative artist he longed to be. For fans, these revelations add layers of complexity to his story, transforming the myth into a relatable human journey. Adding to the treasure trove, Linda Thompson, Elvis's former girlfriend, recently shared personal footage from 1976. The video shows a relaxed and jovial Elvis boarding his private jet, the Lisa Marie, offering an intimate snapshot of his life just a year before his untimely death. Such moments remind fans of the charisma and warmth that defined Elvis not just as an entertainer, but as a person cherished by those close to him. The release of unseen concert footage has also been a major highlight. Restored 8mm films from Elvis's iconic 1972 Madison Square Garden performances and his final concerts in 1977 provide a front-row seat to his dynamic stage presence. These visuals capture the raw energy and unparalleled showmanship that cemented his status as a cultural icon. Fans can now relive the electricity of these legendary performances, complete with Elvis donning his iconic jumpsuits and delivering hits that still resonate today. Photographs from his early career have also surfaced, showcasing a young and ambitious Elvis on the brink of superstardom. Images from recording sessions, candid backstage moments, and fan interactions paint a picture of a man deeply passionate about his craft. These visuals highlight the raw talent and charisma that propelled Elvis from a humble beginning in Tupelo, Mississippi, to global stardom. The ongoing fascination with Elvis Presley lies in his unique ability to connect with audiences across generations. These new releases, whether footage or photographs, serve as a reminder of the depth of his artistry and the humanity beneath his larger-than-life persona. For longtime fans, they offer a nostalgic journey into the past, while for new audiences, they provide an opportunity to discover why Elvis remains the undisputed king of rock and roll. As these unseen materials continue to emerge, they solidify Elvis's legacy as more than just a music icon. They preserve his story as one of creativity, resilience, and profound cultural influence. A story that continues to unfold with each new discovery. Whether through candid moments, electrifying performances, or personal reflections, Elvis Presley's legend lives on, proving that the king's reign is far from over. Further intrigue came in 2005, when Priscilla Presley seemingly slipped up during an interview with Oprah Winfrey, speaking of Elvis in the present tense before quickly correcting herself. Similarly, Lisa Marie Presley dodged a question in a 2003 interview with Larry King about feeling a spiritual connection to her father, fueling speculation about her carefully chosen words. Whether rooted in belief or fueled by a refusal to let go, these theories have kept Elvis's legacy alive in mysterious and puzzling ways. More Elvis sightings after death. As soon as Elvis was laid to rest, rumors began swirling that he had faked his own death to escape the pressures of fame. Alleged sightings popped up across North America, with each story adding to the mythology of the king. In 1989, the Elvis Sighting Society formed to document these claims. Perhaps the most infamous theory arose in 1990 when fans pointed to a bearded man in the background of a Home Alone airport scene, claiming he was Elvis making a sly cameo. Skeptics, including paranormal investigator Ben Radford, quickly debunked the claim, questioning why Elvis would risk being seen after going to such lengths to fake his death. Home Alone director Chris Columbus later confirmed the man was Gary Richard Grott, a personal friend and extra, not Elvis. In 1988, a Nashville radio station added fuel to the fire by offering $1 million reward to anyone who could bring Elvis in for a live interview. The stunt inspired a quirky 1990 video game, less manly, In Search for the King, where players embarked on a virtual hunt to find Elvis and claim the reward. Whether Elvis staged his disappearance or truly rests at Graceland, the endless speculation has only amplified his mystique. Decades later, the King's legacy and the mystery surrounding his life continue to mesmerize fans around the world.